Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
La Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes, using the best ingredients, skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
Do you want to work with the UK's leading trades and labour supplier? Danny Sullivan Group operate on the largest, most prestigious infrastructure projects across the UK, and you can be part of our dynamic team. Here at the Danny Sullivan Group, people are at the core of everything we do, and here's what they had to say.
A family-run business with family values.
Because it has a caring and respectful working environment.
Knowing I'm going home safely every day.
We are now recruiting, and you can register online today.
Hello to you all and welcome to the Irish in the UK. Coming up on the show this week, Anthony Mulligan will be joining us, and Anthony has done a lot of research and study into Irish immigration to Manchester in the 1800s, and in particular to a small little area close to the city centre called Little Ireland. Here's Anthony with the story.
I'm in Manchester, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. Today I'm going to be focusing on a part of Manchester's history that's sort of been swept under the carpet. And regardless of what it stood for in its heyday, it's still a part of Manchester's DNA. And it's ingrained and soaked into this city. But first things first, we're going to have to find a nice little quiet spot. And I know just the place. So today I'm in Manchester, and I'm shocked when I'm walking around it. I'm shocked at the buildings that they're throwing up left, right and centre. Now, Manchester's famed for its industrial look and its history and heritage, and a lot of these buildings are being pulled down and replaced by these futuristic glass-looking monstrosities. They really are. But we got our look off the Industrial Revolution. All the textile mills and the cotton mills, the spinning mills. Manchester was a powerhouse back in the day, and we should be admiring our history and not flattening it. The Manchester Bee, for example, it's symbolic to this city, and it's a bit of a tip of the hat and a nod to the era that built this place, because Mancunians were renowned for their hard work and the work ethic that they actually put into building this city, just like the worker bee. But have you ever wondered who these people were? Where they lived, where they were from, what they did, what it was like in their era? This city was driven forward by two cultures coming together, and it made a potent combination. Ladies and gents, this is the story of Manchester's Little Island.
Manchester, a bustling, cosmopolitan city, a hive of activity, known for much more than just football and music, but pioneering in the study of science to the suffragette stance. This city embraces all cultures, and our histories paved the way for us to enjoy and embrace this beautiful city. But it was built by an era that is no longer, no more. So I'll take you back to where it all started. On the cold cobbles of Manchester. heartache and pain was an everyday occurrence. Tough conditions for tough people, and if you wasn't, then the city would make you and mould you into someone that was. And the key to surviving was to work, and to work hard. Work harder than anybody else, in fear of being replaced by the next hard-working man that was also on the breadline, eking a living from an already impossible way of life. The boom of the Industrial Revolution brought people far and wide to come to work in Manchester. All cultures and all walks of life. Advancements in technology, transport canals and railways brought the industrialisation right to the heart of this city. The daily graft of carving Manchester into what it would become was down to the hard-working Mancunians and the Irish that worked tirelessly around the clock for very little.
You can't get the guarantee. What about that boy over there? What chance has he got of finishing his time? What's going to happen to him in our train? What can he go to?
And hidden within the deep slope curve of the River Medlock stood 5 streets that would go down in history. It was known for its large number of Irish immigrant workers that lived there in the most horrific and horrendous living conditions Manchester's ever seen. So stand up, Wakefield, Anvil, Forge, Frank, and William Street. The houses mainly consisted of 2 rooms per floor, 10 foot square, some inhabited by more than 10 people in one house, including lodgers. And it wasn't uncommon to find more than 1 family in a house. The drainage system was non-existent, nowhere near enough privies to deal with the waste that was being generated by its inhabitants. Infection and disease was rife as it burrowed its way deep into the pores of every man, woman and child. A place shrouded in darkness. No street lamps, just candle lit. And even in the daytime, it still appeared to be in darkness, due to the huge, looming industrial mills and chimneys that blocked out all of the daylight. The air filled with the smog and smoke that bellowed frantically out of the tall, imposing chimneys that hung in the sky like haunting ghosts. But things took a turn for the worst, and by 1845, the Irish Famine was in full swing. This saw at least 1 million people die from starvation, and another million fleeing the country in an attempt to survive. The well-respected Frederick Engels visited the less desirable parts of Manchester, and it's with no surprise that his visit to Little Ireland would live long in the memory. And this is what he had to say. In a rather deep hole in the curve of the Medlock, and surrounded on all 4 sides by tall factories and high embankments covered with buildings, stands 2 groups of about 200 cottages, built chiefly back to back, in which live about 4,000 human beings, most of them Irish. The cottages are old and dirty, and of the smallest sort. The streets uneven, fallen into ruts, and in parts without drains or pavements. Masses of awful and sickening filth lie amongst the standing pools in all directions. and the atmosphere is poisoned by the effluvia, darkened by the smoke of about a dozen tall chimneys. A horde of ragged women and children swarm about here, as filthy as swine, that thrive upon the garbage heaps and in the puddles. The race that lives in these ruinous cottages or in the dark wet cellars must have really reached the lowest stage of humanity. But after reading Engels' account, I couldn't help but feel so sorry for these poor people. As detailed and as horrific his memory might have been of Little Ireland, I thought it was quite harsh to judge the people as a whole, not taking into consideration the background that they've come from. Their children, newborn babies, and after all, it wasn't their fault. The living conditions that they was given was their only means to survive. These were people, human beings, with emotion, feelings, compassion. Their way of life was truly unimaginable, and my heart goes out to all of them.
So this is it, everyone. This is the site and the location of Little Ireland. Now, as you can see there, it says Anvil Street, and look at that underneath it. I'll try and zoom in for you. It says part of the area formerly known as Little Ireland. How cool's that? Right, so this is Anvil Street, and then to the right, going down there, that's where the 5 streets would have run. Now, these cobbles I've just noticed there, these look really old. I'm not saying that they are from that era, but there's a possibility it could be. So this is where Little Ireland would have stood. If you was to get rid of this big massive hotel here, going sort of that way, you would have seen the Oxford Road and the Salisbury Pub would be there. Now, the Salisbury Pub is the periphery. That was the end of Little Ireland, and it ran all the way up to these sort of arches here that you can see today. So all this back in 1827 to 1877, this was Little Ireland.
Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
IJK's Scrap Metal, Manchester. We provide payment for scrap metal, removal and disposal of cars and abandoned vehicles, a weighbridge facility, authorised treatment facility, recycling and waste management. Full compliance with all legal requirements. IJK Scrap Metal Manchester, a friendly, professional and reliable service.
Supreme Upholstery Limited is a manufacturer of quality bespoke upholstered furniture. Come along with your ideas for that perfect sofa to fit your home and let Supreme bring your ideas to fruition. We also offer a service to the contract market, including large hotel groups and small family-run business. No matter how large or how small your order, you will always get that personal service from our sales team. Come along and visit our showroom.
The Warrington Irish Club, 83 Orford Lane, Warrington. A friendly and welcoming club keeping the Irish culture alive. We have Irish and country music every Saturday night, tribute nights, race nights, charity nights and karaoke. all live sports shown on the big screens. We have snooker, dominoes and crown green bowling teams along with arts and crafts. Pop in for a friendly welcome and to book your event at the Warrington Irish Club, give Frank a call.
La Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes using the best ingredients, skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
Buckhurst Plant Hire, operating nationwide and supplying equipment to the construction, civil engineering and utility industries. Buckhurst is synonymous with quality equipment and excellent service. Call us today.
IJK's Scrap Metal, Manchester. We provide payment for scrap metal, removal and disposal of cars and abandoned vehicles. A weighbridge facility, authorised treatment facility, recycling and waste management. Full compliance with all legal requirements. IJK Scrap Metal Manchester, a friendly, professional and reliable service.
Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
Do you want to work with the UK's leading trades and labour supplier? Danny Sullivan Group operate on the largest, most prestigious infrastructure projects across the UK, and you can be part of our dynamic team. Here at the Danny Sullivan Group, people are at the core of everything we do, and here's what they had to say.
A family-run business with family values.
Because it has a caring and respectful working environment.
Knowing I'm going home safely every day.
We are now recruiting, and you can register online today.
All these would have been cottages going this way, and if I just show you here, this is now Frank Street. How cool's that? But like I always say to you, history is sometimes right underneath our nose, and you just have to scratch the surface that little bit deeper, and sometimes you get these little gems that poke up, and to some this is nothing, it's just an old piece of wood on a wall. But that is absolutely everything to me, because that is the original street sign to Frank Street all those years ago. And if you look closely, you can just make out the K and the ST. That's history in a nutshell. That is history right before your very eyes. But let me just point you to this. There it is. This is the site of Little Island, and it reads, large numbers of immigrant Irish workers lived here in appalling housing conditions. It was built in 1827, vacated in 1847, and it was demolished in 1877. And like I say, it would have ran all the way to these arches. I can't even put into words how nostalgic it is to walk down here. It's something deeper than nostalgia. It's like I look at the floor and there's layer and layer and layer upon pieces of history, pieces of time that once were and now forgotten. And I can walk down here and I can go for a coffee, I can do whatever I want, but back in the day you wouldn't have walked down here. And there's people on the same level that I am walking on now. Like I'm walking through here, strolling through, not a care in the world. But back in the day, this was their lives, this was everything that they ever stood for, was on this actual ground where I'm walking on. Their life was totally different, it wasn't like mine. Their life was eking a living and trying to survive day by day, living in absolute squalor and poverty. And, you know, how privileged am I to be able to just do this, to just walk down the street? Because if I was born back in 1827, it'd have been a total different ball game. And Engels summed it up pretty much in a nutshell. This place was pretty much hell on earth, and he'd been all over the show, and he pinpointed this place out and said it was the worst of the worst. There was people living in worse conditions than swines, he said. And it's to think that it's still here, and the street signs are even called Anvil Street and Frank Street. It blows my mind, it really does. And there's something in me, I don't know what it is, but it resonates with these people. And like I say, I just can't pinpoint what it is. But this place has saw its fair share of misery on it, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's horrible. It's a bit sort of, I don't know. There's just something here, and it's just pure history. It's pure history right here where I am now. And people walk past there and they haven't got a clue. People walk past and they live in these big, massive, they sleep in these hotels and live in these buildings and come to work every day, and some of them don't have a clue. They don't know what was going on here all them years ago. And I find it fascinating. But the thing that blows my mind more than anything is that, and to some it means nothing, but that old street sign there that used to be there, the original street sign, means everything. There's something deeper, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. But ultimately they all came over for a better life, and that was the top and bottom of it. And they were trying to provide for the families. They were trying to provide a better life. They came for work. Now, I do know there was a lot of crime, and I'm not doubting that some of these people might have been horrible people, but there was good in them. There was some good in the community that was here. And that, like I say, I'm not saying they were all good by no stretch of the imagination, but when you're living in conditions such as this, desperation can take over, and it can make a good man turn bad, can't it? Like Morrissey said, it can make a good man turn bad, and that's exactly what has probably happened with a lot of these people. So I don't know if you can make out, there's a sort of slope here that goes right the way down. Now that would have filled up all the way to Little Island and left sort of like a swamp-like sewage sort of pool, because all the rainwater and all the sewage sort of ran this way. But it's strange because in areas this place is still really original. And I'll just take you to this plaque on the wall. Now this is the Salisbury Pub, and there's just a slight nod to what actually stood here all those years ago, and I'll read it out to you. It says the Salisbury stands in the area of Manchester's known as Little Island. In the 19th century, it had a high population of Irish settlers. But just look at it. It's not far off how it would have looked back in the day. As you can imagine, like, these are the cellar dwellings here. But look at that. This would have been cram-packed with people actually living in cellar dwellings, in slums. I mean, this is probably clean compared to how it would have been. But could you just imagine the amount, raising children, raising kids up in this little section here? How the hell would you have done it? And here today, like with the arches, and look at the new building that they've put in. It's sort of the old, new and old combined, this area, isn't it? But people are walking past there today, most of them students, and they haven't got a clue what went on here all those years ago. But I'm telling you now, this place here is deeply, deeply historic, and there's a lot of parts of it that haven't actually changed. If walls could talk, eh?
The detailed account by Frederick Engels sparked huge social changes, and in 1844, Manchester faced yet another cholera pandemic. The reports concluded that the average life expectancy of a working man in Manchester was only 38 years old. And reports discovered direct links between sanitation and disease in cheap slum housing. And with the arrival of Manchester Oxford Road train station, which was pushing into the slum areas of Manchester, it was the right time to change parts of the city. This included Little Island. The people that lived in Little Island were forced to vacate, and the families were dispersed across the working class areas of Manchester. mainly Ancoats and Hume. But they didn't go quietly. An incident had occurred in 1848 where 18 houses in Little Ireland were to be sold. And to the anger of the tenants, they decided to rip out all the floorboards, windows and staircases.
Don't forget the second doors.
Oh, and not forgetting the doors. They saw this as compensation. After all, they were going to be made homeless. By 1877, there was nothing left of Little Ireland, and it was completely demolished. Nothing but rubble and dust. But today, it leaves a legacy. Whether it's good or bad, these people helped shape this city. It's a part of the DNA of Manchester. It happened, and they existed. There was much more than just an article in a newspaper, a scrawl by some upper-class journalist looking down his nose at them, for everyone to gasp in horror at the conditions that these people were living in. These people helped carve Manchester into the city that you see today. The canals, railways, roads, all done by their hard work and graft, as well as other cultures, other nationalities. They all collectively helped build this city. It's safe to say that Manchester wouldn't have developed at the pace that it did without these people. From the ragged women in the shawls who washed the clothes in the street, to the poor little boy working barefoot in the cotton mill, risking his little life every day, to the men that hacked away at the stone and soil, come rain, sleet or snow, moulding the next bridge, the next canal, the next railway. So next time, when you glance at the floor and you see the old cobbles peeking through that the tarmac didn't quite pin down, always remember and spare a thought for the era that graced those very steps that we walk on today. Because this was their Manchester. And this is our Manchester. Ladies and gents, this was the story of Manchester's Little Island.
Thank you, Anthony, for a wonderful story. You've given us a great insight as to how difficult it was for Irish people leaving home and coming to live in a big city in the 1800s. Thank you and well done. Now, Henry McGlade is back with his show next Thursday evening from County Mayo at 7 o'clock, and we are here with the Irish in the UK at 7:30. See you then.